at this mayoral candidate forum. We're going to move to, I think, a very exciting segment. I'd like to introduce Curtis Dennison, who will take us through a voter registration segment, followed by our U.S. Congressional District 19 Candidates Forum. Brother Dennison?
Thank you, Brother Love. Again, my name is Curtis Dennison, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about voter registration, the criteria you need to do in order to meet in order to vote, as well as if you're a felon, how you can have your rights restored. Next slide, please. Here in Florida, we have well over 4 million unregistered eligible voters that haven't yet registered to vote. In Florida in 2020, it is considered going to be a close presidential race. It is imperative that if you want your interest backed, or if you want your interest in ideas to be represented, for you to take your chance and go ahead and vote. In 2018, Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis won their respective races by less than a point, and President Trump won by 2 points. So again, it's imperative, if you want your interests represented, to go out there and register and vote. In order to register, you must meet the following criteria: be a citizen of the United States of America, be a Florida resident, be at least 18 years old, not been found mentally incapacitated with respect to voting in Florida, not have been convicted of a felony, or if you have been convicted of a felony, meet the criteria listed in Amendment 4 of the Florida Constitution in order to have your rights restored. Next slide, please. A felony conviction in Florida for murder or sexual offense does make you ineligible to vote in Florida unless your right to vote is restored by the State Clemency Board. Any other felony conviction in Florida, you are able to have your register restored by completing all terms of your sentence. That includes your prisoner jail time, parole, probation, or other forms of supervision, and payment of all fines, fees, costs, and restitution. Next slide, please. Now, if you have a felony conviction in another state, that doesn't necessarily preclude you from being able to vote here in Florida, unless your conviction in that particular state stops you from voting. Then you won't be able to vote here in Florida. A felony, if you just have a felony offense but not adjudicated guilty, that does not make you ineligible to vote. You still can vote. If you only have a misdemeanor conviction, that does not make you ineligible to vote. You still have the right to vote. Now, if you're interested in registering, you can register by many different ways, either online at registertovoteflorida.gov, or visiting the Florida Driver's License Office or Tax Collector's Office, or you can fill out the voting registration application in person or by mail and deliver it to the Division of Elections. Now, the National Voter Registration Act has designated government agencies to serve as voting registration agencies. This means any person can register to vote through one of these agencies at the same time they receive the agency's core services. So that means you can register to vote when you visit the office that provide public assistance, offices that provide state-funded programs for persons with disabilities, armed forces recruitment offices, centers for independent living, and public libraries are all places where you can vote. Now, if you believe you're registered but you're not quite sure, you can check your registration status by visiting the Division of Voters Election Information Lookup, or you can contact the Bureau of Voter Registration Services hotline at 1-866-308-6739, or send them an email. Next slide, please. Now, the register to vote in this year's presidential election is Monday, October 5th, 2020. If you're planning to send your application by mail, it must be postmarked by that date. Now, there is a late registration deadline, and it only applies to those who have been recently separated from the Merchant Marines, armed forces, or from employment outside the United States. That late registration deadline is 5 p.m. on the Friday before Election Day in the county in which you are to be registered. For more information, contact your supervisor of elections. Here is a brief snapshot of the voting registration application. This is what it looks like. You'll just need to fill out the application and that information and then send it into the Division of Electors. Thank you. Next slide. Now, these are two frequently asked questions that I've heard. I just moved within Florida. Is there anything I need to do about my voter registration? Now, if you move from one county in Florida to another county or move within the county, you do not need to re-register. However, you will need to update the address on your voter registration record. Now, if you haven't received your voter information card after you registered, you'll need to contact your county supervisor of elections office. You'll want to give them approximately 2 weeks following registration. But again, if you haven't received it, contact your county supervisor of elections office. Next slide. Kappa Alpha Psi, along with our Divine Nine brothers and sisters, have partnered with the National Bar Association in their nonpartisan election protection efforts. Other partners in this effort include the Lawyer Committees for the Civil Rights and the Transformative Justice Coalition. This is a short-term commitment that ends after Election Day on November 3rd, 2020. Now, up top, you will see the Voter Protection Hotline. If you feel as though your voting rights have been infringed upon when you go to vote, there's two different hotlines, English speaking and Spanish speaking. Please take a picture of this particular slide so you can have it handy just in case you meet, if you the chance happens where your voter rights are infringed upon. Next slide, please. I would like to leave you with this. Regardless of your party affiliation, it's imperative that if you're not registered, to go out there and register and vote. Your vote is your voice. Thank you.